Destination for me. Analyze that.
What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Black Sauce. You would never guess what I did last night. So, last night we went over to Pop Art Studio here in Twin Falls, and we got some footage on how to go viral. Arnel was putting on a class, and with his permission, I recorded it, and that's this week's episode. So hopefully you guys enjoy, get some good tips. Like always, drink your water, stay blessed.
Welcome to Arnel's How to Go Viral. All right, we're gonna restart this so that way you guys get a better idea of how to do this. Rule number 1: story is the most important thing. Do not post random B-roll stuff. Do not post anything unless it's got a story. Like you are somehow telling a story, and everybody is a storyteller. So you got to get into your storytelling, storytelling mindset, I guess. So typically, if you need some help, you've got AI now. You got the top 3 popular one. You got ChatGPT, you got Claude, and then you got Gemini. If you're gonna pick one, Claude. Get Claude. Claude is, in my opinion, probably like the best one to help you with writing, going viral, helping you with hooks and whatnot. But it's not going to be easy. You're going to need to post a lot. And you're never going to know what's going to go viral because it might be the dumbest thing ever. Like I remember the first time I started going viral was we went to this, the Drops at Shoshone. I don't know if you guys ever been there. Mm-hmm. And then it was just, we're at this canal and people jump in here and you float down. And you can kind of see how that could kind of potentially go viral because it's a little bit controversial because it's like, oh no, you're not supposed to jump in a canal. But this was like by the locals. This is where all the locals jump in and then they just float down and then there's an exit point. But the thing is, like, you don't want to miss that exit point because then you're just a goner, basically. You're just dead, you know? So I think we just recorded that and it was some drone footage, GoPro footage, and just kind of floating down. And we posted that. I edited it like in like an hour or something like that. I didn't think nothing about it. I posted it on Facebook, I believe at that time. And then it just started just going crazy because obviously you got people that are commenting like, this is super dangerous. This is wild. Oh, I want to do this. This looks fun. So then it kind of, you have like 2 audiences that are kind of, one is saying this is dangerous and this was fun. And then that basically creates a lot of engagement in the comments itself. The algorithm itself is looking for engagement, meaning they want to see people are commenting or people are sharing the video itself. So anytime you're making a video or so forth, you typically are thinking about that kind of stuff is like, what do I want people like to initially start typing or saying, or how are they going to be engaging or so forth. So you'll typically want to write that into like into your like leave a comment or, you know, what do you think about this or so forth. So that kind of encourages them to engage. A lot of times I'll do polls. Polls is another way of engaging the audience itself. So you can just give them a yes or no. Do you guys like this song? Or do you guys think this is cool or interesting? And then people are engaging the poll. Again, that tells the algorithm, hey, engagement on this itself. But really, the algorithm really cares about the shares. The shares is the most important thing. And typically you have to also kind of put yourself into this mindset of when you're creating your piece of content, you almost have to kind of step out of your role of the content creator and then put yourself as the viewer. And when you make the piece of content, you have to kind of see it from their perspective and ask yourself, if I saw this, would I share this? And if it's a yes, you're on the right path, But again, the main thing people really care about is a story. Whatever the story may be, it always has to be driven by a story itself, because even if it's like the dumbest story ever, people are more likely to listen to a story than just watch some B-roll itself. So story is key. A lot of people will watch videos without even the audio playing, which I thought it was just like, what? So typically this is why you would then be seeing captions. I've talked to many people where they say, I don't even have my sound on until I see that it's actually interesting. And that just blew my mind. So this is why captions is important as well. Now in Adobe Premiere, you can, if you have some audio where it's talking, it'll transcribe what the person is saying and put text. There's also a whole bunch of different websites where they'll kind of do this as well too for you. And then it'll just transcribe and put that little boop, boop, boop text as it kind of goes. Because a lot of people, again, are just scrolling with no music or sound, and they'll just read what it says. And if it captures their attention, then they'll stop and then view it, essentially. A lot of times when you're making a video reel, this is something that I've seen and it's actually very true, is do a lot of you. Like, you won't believe this. Try to start off with something because you're then engaging the viewer itself. You're basically saying, you, it's like, oh, me? What about me? It's like, you won't believe this. So it's like, if you have an event, it's like, you won't believe there's this amazing event happening, blah, blah, blah. So, and it's like, okay. And then you're basically, you hold people's attention for a few seconds, but then you're only holding their attention for about like 3 seconds or 4 seconds. And then you got to hold their attention even more itself. So it's like the way that these videos are typically scripted is it's a lot of attention holding itself. But then you're like, well, I don't know exactly how to hold people's attention. Can I have AI help me with this? And this is where I was kind of like trying to tell you guys a little bit more about this is, yes, you can. So a good way to do this would be you can look up, like, I Can Make Anything Go Viral by Jenny Hoyes. It's on YouTube. And then these days, you don't even have to watch the whole video anymore. You can just download its transcript and you can give it to AI. And you can just basically say, what are the key points of this video? So that way you save yourself 30, 40 minutes of watching, and it just summarizes the video itself. So this is essentially kind of like her technique, which she kind of follows a lot of how to go viral and how to hold people's attention and so forth. So she's got a lot of videos that have reached millions of views itself. So my mindset is kind of like this then. You would typically transcribe this. There's a bunch of websites that you can go to. Just type in transcribe YouTube video, and it'll kind of lead you to like a website like this. You type in the video, and then what'll happen is it'll give you the transcript. You then take this transcript, and then you copy it over, and you paste it into Claude, ChatGPT, and or Gemini, and you're basically kind of saying, I want you to follow this formula, because she's providing the formula that you should follow, essentially. So let's see if we can kind of like make one or so forth. What do you guys want to like? We can see if we can try to make a viral video. What do you guys? We already know, like, for example, like the jugs video, right?
Oh, right.
We can like, add on to it itself. We can make a part 2 itself if you guys want to see how that works, So we can copy this video, this transcript. I'm going to go into ChatGPT and it'll basically say something like, okay, like this is the formula. Let me see if I'm still connected to the hotspot. Yes. Start a new chat here. This is the formula for going viral. Then you paste it, and then now you're preloading an AI to go ahead and follow a certain formula of going viral itself, right? So it's like, okay, great, but it's like now you have to have the actual story that you're going to be doing. So it depends on what the situation is or so forth. So for example, like I was telling you guys earlier, there was like a base jumper that was jumping, and I could have just recorded some B-roll footage. That probably would have never went anywhere itself, but I made it a 3-part series or 4-part series or 5-part series. I can't really remember exactly how long. And it kind of like gave updates of like, I arrived, this is what I saw, and you're kind of giving a narrative. And people like that narrative is because maybe they didn't have the chance or the opportunity to kind of go out there, and then you're just basically their vessel to see what's happening and so forth, right? So you're telling a story, what's happening or so forth. And you have the formula here, and you can just kind of say like, well, I arrived, this is blah, 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 and you're giving him more input of what exactly happened. And you're just there essentially collecting B-roll footage. And when you're collecting this B-roll footage, you're also kind of thinking is like, okay, well, we arrived, this is how many jumps he had already done, he would do this, and then you just are narrating. You're just basically a narrator, essentially, of what's happening. And again, that's the reason people like that, is because they're seeing a story unfold. So whatever you guys are promoting or so forth, it needs to do a story, whatever it is. So story is king. Nothing beats story itself. It could be like the dumbest story ever, but if you narrate it and tell a story or so forth, that's what people stick around for, is they want to hear stories. It's like everybody is like a child essentially, and you're telling them a story basically. So that's how I kind of almost see the Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and so forth, is the people that are very successful, they're always telling a story. Even some of these travel influencers, they'll be like, come along with me and I'll show you my trip. I did this was cool, this is something you should know about it, then I went here, blah, blah, blah. And then people will like that, share it, because it's providing value to them. So another aspect of going kind of viral is you have to, when you're making your piece of content itself, you have to ask yourself, what value am I giving to the user itself that's going to be watching this? That's very, very important itself. It's like, what value? Because it's like, you want to give them something that they're like, oh, well, thank God somebody told me about that. Or that was actually very good info. I'm going to like save this or screenshot it or like it or save it for later or something like that. So the key is, what value are you providing to the viewer itself? If you're providing something very good, and then it'll just naturally share itself. So for example, here's an example. Like, I went to northern Idaho and I did this bike ride, right? It was it's called Ride to Hiawatha. And obviously there's a couple of ways I could have done that. I could have just rode my bike and just got some B-roll footage, and I could have just said in the description itself, check out this bike ride, it's so cool, blah, 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 and so forth, right? but that doesn't make you go viral. What you really need is a story that goes along with it. So if you say, oh, well, let me tell you, like, you have, again, starting with, you won't believe, or like, you will be amazed. You need a good hook, essentially. Is the hook stops them. And if you need help with hooks or so forth, there's people sell hook lists. You can have AI help you with like some hooks or so forth. So the first step of like catching somebody's attention is you got to get a hook. You got to stop them from scrolling itself. So any kind of video that you're making or so forth, it's got to start off with a hook. It's like, why am I watching this video? Well, the hook explains that itself. The hook will basically be like grabs their attention, and then once you have their attention, they're gonna stick around. But then you have to then keep it you're keeping it for like 20, 30 more seconds, and then if you can add another hook, and then just kind of go all the way to the end itself. At one point, the algorithm really liked like looping videos. So that way it showed like, oh, this video ended, and then the person watched it all over again. But a lot of times people will make it so that you don't even realize that the video has even ended. So that way, if you make a video like that, that's even better, because the viewer then sees it as it like they forget that's the beginning of the video itself. And if you can make it, sometimes I've seen where I make a video, it's like the video ends and then it plays all over again, and then people will watch halfway through or the whole way, and it's like, didn't I just watch that? It's like the whole video, they just looped it itself. Mm-hmm. For a while there was like 1 second loops that were going super viral, where like there would just be like a little sound effect and then it would just play over and so forth. And some people were going super viral because that was telling the algorithm, this is a very popular video because they've watched this video 5-10 times, So, but I'm pretty sure that's patched up, so you're not going to be able to get away with that anymore. Really, it comes down to a good hook, a good story itself. So I don't know what you guys are, like how you guys can tie that into, for example, like your business. You could more people would be interested about your startup, what your kind of problems you're running into and things like that, and how you solve them, than anything else that you post, because they might be in the same situation that you are. And if you tell a story about it, then you're educating them, and then they're going to follow you, or they're going to share something. If you shared something very useful that they're like, that was kind of cool, or so forth, you know what I mean? So really, it's you're got to be providing value. You got to be providing value. Hey, we got Rob here. You can sit down anywhere. We're just talking about how to go viral. Yeah, we got Rob here. So anyways, so again, AI is going to be your friend. If you do not use AI, you're going to be left behind. Anybody that's not, like I said, anybody that's not using it, you're going to be left behind. So people that are going to get ahead of everybody is people that are helping AI's assistant itself. Think about it. I like to think about it as like, I have the smartest person sitting to me, right next to me, and they can help me with any kind of questions and answers and so forth. It's crazy. It's like we live in a world where you have access to like an imaginary person that can help you with any question. It's so crazy to me that we live in this like day and age where everybody has access to this tool itself. I remember when this tool first started coming out in the beginning, it was like all wacky and so forth, but I immediately got addicted to it because I was like, oh my God, this is like having a software that has collected the whole internet, and you can ask it questions versus like sifting through the questions and answers, trying to figure it out all yourself itself. So like I said, I've seen many people, even Elon Musk, say like, you're going to be left behind if you don't, use AI itself. So it's people that are using AI and helping them like that. They're the ones that are kind of getting ahead of the, because you cannot compete, because then you have to get so proficient at writing hooks, writing a story, and so forth. Again, some people are already kind of good at that, but it just kind of enhances what they're writing or what they're saying or so forth. It structures things much better than you could possibly ever imagine or so forth. So it's a great tool. I recommend everybody use it for everyday task. I mean, like you got to figure out a way of training your brain to use it at all times or so forth. Because like I said, I can tell you a lot of people that are successful and so forth, that have huge channels or so forth, they're all using it. It's like get on the train or be left behind, basically. So basically, that's really the key, is telling a good story. So whatever you guys want to talk about, is story is the key. You have to have some kind of story. Like, I don't know, you guys want to play like a game here? Or like, tell me a story, and then we can kind of see, tell me a story. From this information, like, what are you kind of picking up? You're out of here? All right, I'll see you later, man.
Well, there was that whole thing when I first met you.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. I was just like, well, shit, I can talk about the experience that I had before, and then lead up to the release of the song. Be like, hey, after we talked about it, we left shit behind, and then we moved forward. Boom, this is what we came up with.
Yeah.
Years later.
So you would want to structure that again, like you would want to take that as the story, right? Mm-hmm. And again, it's like, what makes that story interesting, I guess. So like, tell me, because like what you just said, I don't really fully understand. Like what? Because like you got to throw a hook at me. Try to throw a hook at me, I guess, and see how it might play out if you try to use the word "you" in it. So like you something.
You wouldn't believe the things I've done on tour.
To what?
Tour.
Okay. You won't believe what I've done on tour. Okay. See, now you've got my attention because, yeah.
Do you feel good that you talked about it's like, now we're talking.
Now we're talking. Yeah, because now, when you say you won't believe what I've done on tour, you've got people's attention, right? Because then they're like, okay, well, I can stop here for a little bit and let's see where this kind of goes. Okay. So then what are you leading me into next, I guess?
I just take you through the whole thing, just piece by piece, the drive, the experience, the Airbnb, just everything.
So, but again, keep in mind, you got only like 90 seconds to kind of hold them in it. So I guess you're so the way you got to be think about this is you're structuring it. It's like, you won't believe what I did on tour. Then you're leading into like it needs some kind of filler, like the middle part I call it, and then you need a payoff. Like what's the payoff? Like, what am I getting at the end of this? What are you gonna hit me that I'm like, wow, that was so cool, or that was crazy, or so forth? What's that? Is it like, or so are you saying like your guys' song? That's where like you're pushing out a song or something? Mm-hmm. Is that what you're kind of thinking?
That's a whole different story.
Oh, so is this kind of like a story?
Hook you, I hooked you.
Yeah, you hooked me, but it's like
that was it, bro.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
You gotta teach me something, bro.
Yeah. So you gotta a good hook.
Teach me how to make a story now.
Yeah. So a good hook will not take you all the way. There's gotta be some meat on that as well too. So it's like you won't believe what happened on tour. You got me, but it's like, then what happened? You know what I mean? So it's got to like, you have a very limited time of how much stuff you can kind of say in that time, because you can't tell like a 10, 15 minute story itself. If you're making a video reel, you're doing like 90 seconds or 120, so you're very, very limited on almost kind of like the character count. Usually, I believe the character count is about 1,400 characters. So if I'm having AI help me with some kind of a script itself, I'll have it be constrained in 1,400 characters itself, because I know if I have 1,400 characters, then you can typically say that in like the time frame itself, you know. So you have to have the meat of what happened. Something that I'm watching this video to get like a result. So for example, again, I don't know what you did on tour, but let's see what. Okay, let's see if AI can help us with this and see how this kind of would go. Okay. So you would just basically be like, okay, I have a story that I'm telling. The hook is, you won't believe what I did on tour. This then leads into the story. Well, let's like, okay.
I would say this. I would say what I would put into ChatGPT is I would say,
what's the story here?
no. So you don't put the story in. So then put pause and then say, I want you to write a story that has a plot.
Yeah,
and so that's what I would put right now.
Yeah. So we can. So if you don't know what the story is, or if you don't have a story or so forth, because it's got to be something juicy, something that like people will find. Because like if you think about it, what you're also doing is you're entertaining the crowd itself. So think about it, like, you won't believe this happened to me. Okay, so maybe. Okay, like you gotta think of something fun. Maybe you had diarrhea or something like that. You know what I mean? I had diarrhea on stage and I had to take a shit somewhere. You know what I mean? That's funny, basically. But okay, no, that's too much or so forth. Maybe you met somebody famous and they did something funny or so forth, right? So like that's the meat itself. Like it's like, well, what happened? It's like, well, I met this person and then they did this thing, but usually you're drawing from real world experiences. I don't like to just ask AI like this happened or so forth. I'm having AI help me try to tell the story better with what happened to me itself. So it's kind of like, what happened? So like, what do you guys got? What has anything ever happened to you guys on stage or so forth that you guys think was like a funny story or like something interesting? What do you guys got?
Are you asking for real things, or we just
for real things? Like, yeah, you've put on concerts and things like that, right? Like where it's kind of like an EDM or a show or so forth.
Does winning look like right now creating an accurate story, or just showing AI creating a story?
It's so we're trying to structure a story itself. So like what I'm asking you guys is, has anything ever happened crazy off backstage to you guys that you guys remember? Like, oh well, this was crazy. Like, because I'm normally personally.
I don't want to say.
You don't want to. You're like.
I was just thinking of the funniest thing, but no, the funniest thing I was thinking, but it was not even a real thing. I was just like. Imagine if someone's like, yeah, bro, like your mom.
Yeah, you could. See, that's a good one, okay? You could, so that's a good one too.
You wouldn't believe what I did on tour. Your
Mom, yeah. and then like tag a friend. Yeah, and then like, see, that's gold. That's gold right there. You're like, you won't, but it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Might as well just at the end be like this, and then be like, and then have like Rick roll.
Yeah. See, that is gold. That is gold. Okay. So yeah, we could totally do something like that. You know?
Arnel's next.
Won't believe what I did backstage, and then boom, your mom. You point a finger, and then guess what? Son of a bitch, and then boom.
Thug life glasses.
Yeah.
San Andreas.
Yeah.
See, this is it. This is it. See, if you do something like that, then you're going viral. Okay, like that's where it's at.
I'm about to fucking do that.
Yeah.
Because that shit sounds funny.
That's
So
see.
something in that. So what I would ask you, Arnel, next is like, because like storyboarding behind content is one thing, and then executing on content's another.
Yeah.
Obviously, we all have the clear telepathic image of what that clip would look like.
Mm-hmm.
But then when we get into the execution, people like fall off.
Exactly. So this is where execution is very key. So, like, see, this is a brilliant idea that you guys threw out here. You have gold here, basically. I call it, because you need 3 of these a day. Like these golden ideas. 6 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock, and then 5 o'clock itself. If you are able to produce like something like we just did right here, right? 3 times a day, you're guaranteed to go viral. Like it's just a matter of time, basically, because as soon as people see that, like, that's funny, I'm going to share this, or I'm going to tag somebody, because you've now opened the door to people tag each other, say something like, oh, you got me, or like, you son of a bitch, like, so, because I did something like this, had millions of views. It was like, you won't believe I found a lake named after you, right? People are like, no fucking way, There's no way. And it's like me zooming into Earth, zooming into Earth, zooming into Earth, And it says, bitch lake.
That's funny.
And then that's the real name of the lake. It's called Bitch Lake, right?
That's even funnier.
And yeah. And then it was like, also there's Bitch Creek right next to it, and it's in Idaho. Okay, so it's like millions. I think that had like 4 or 5 million views, just like because like people are like,
You were on camera, your face, or just your?
no,
face?
it's just like it's an AI assisted.
AI voice.
It's an AI voice, and then zooming into Earth itself, and then boom,
I see.
it hits it, and that's another million view. But what you guys just said here, that's for sure. Like if it hits, because again, you don't know if the algorithm's actually going to take off with it. It's like a 50-50. That's why I'm saying the numbers is a game, basically. So like I might create it might go viral. Maybe Rob does it, his goes viral. Maybe you make one of us, if all 4 of us made this video itself, one of us would probably go viral itself. Or maybe none of us would go viral. You don't know, essentially. But the next key to this is execution. It's like you have to ask yourself, are you going to actually make this video? So, like, do you have the means to make this video? Well, why not? Like, what's the problem? It's like, what's hold?
It's just not me.
So you would pass on this?
Yeah, I would pass on it too.
You would pass on it too? Would you pass on it as well too?
No.
No. You're like,
I would do it.
you would do it.
There you go.
See,
Fucking do it, bro.
it's
You're like, you wouldn't believe what we did on tour. You're wild.
Yeah.
boom, and then boop, and then a rickroll, and you're done, basically. It's you literally don't need anything other than maybe some
Vote on it.
an AI kind of doing something like that. But so there's one way. It's like that's almost kind of like a trolling. But if you were trying to tell a story, that could also potentially work, but it might not go as viral as something like that. Because if you tell a story, it has to be very compelling. Like you won't believe this happened. And I'm trying to think of like something interesting that ever happened backstage.
Man, I was one time I was at a show and I was performing, and my niece, she couldn't be at the show. She drew me a nice little letter, like in crayons and everything. My brother was telling me she had a Google uncle. I was like, shit, she put in work.
Yeah. Yeah. So 50-50 on that. That's like a sentimental story, So
I think it'll grab.
It's really all about the story itself. It's like what is. I think a lot of people are looking for like some kind of shock factor or something that they can kind of like get value out of. So it's really kind of like, what kind of value am I kind of adding to it? So it's kind of like you might also want to try to restructure that. Like I was backstage, and then I got this letter, and then it was like a crayon letter, and then that motivated me to push out this song. Here's the song. So you're basically kind of saying it's like like, you know, you're tying into a story basically. It's like, why? It's like what did that do for you? You know, like how did it affect you or so forth, or how did it trigger you, or what did it make you think about or so forth? You know, because that way you're like, this is like this made me do this or so forth. I got this letter, and then it made me want to make this song or something like that. So that way there's a reason for that song itself. So that's, you got to think about that kind of stuff or so forth, you know. So.
I gotta get going.
All right, man.
I gotta get up early.
Nice seeing you, brother.
Likewise.
All right. See you next time.
Let's let me get out of here. Later, brother. Yes, sir. Yeah, I'll see you guys next week.
Take it easy, bro.
I told Prodigy to come over, and he's like, "Oh, I forgot." I was like, "Yeah, you keep forgetting."
One day, bro. I think the front might be locked, actually.
Is it?
Yeah, I think someone locked it because I walked
The
out.
badge.
I walked into the front and I was like, it was locked, and I was like,
We're locked in.
I had to go around the back.
Now, a lot of times people are don't want to. They're shy, or they don't want to record their voice. AI has an answer for that as well too. It's like you don't even have to use your voice. A lot of people go super viral with AI voices as well. And the main website that they typically use is 11 Labs. It's a website. You get these credits, and then you can just basically type your script, whatever you want to use, and you just type your script, whatever like it is, generate speech, it gives it to you, then you have the actual audio files. Once you have the audio files, you don't even have to say the script. You just have AI basically say it for you. Bada bing, bada boom, done. It's all about the idea. What is the idea that you're throwing out there itself? And really, the people that are succeeding is they're constantly getting different ideas. Like I am personally myself, I'm an idea generator all the time. And how I get my ideas is typically I'm talking to other people, and then that might spark something. It's like if I'm talking to Rob or anybody else, it's kind of like he might say something and it might trigger an idea. And then once I get an idea of that, then you have to roll into execution itself, push it out. And then once you push it out, never think about it again. Just move on to the next thing itself. You know, if it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, oh well, you have endless amounts of ideas that you can possibly come up with. It's just about talking to people and getting inspiration from somebody itself. Sometimes I'll be scrolling Instagram or so forth, and then I'll see something. And I was like, oh, you know, I could do something like that as well too. So then a lot of people just do a different variation of that. And that's fine. There's a book, it's called like Steal Like an Artist or something like that. You're just taking that idea and then you're putting it in your own version itself. So a lot of people, what they'll typically do is they'll do a lot of research on what will go viral. And they'll find videos that have hit like 1 million or 2 or 3 or 4. And there's a lot of websites that will help you with that, like Viral Finder or something like that, I believe. And it'll show you like, okay, well, here's all the viral videos for that. And then you watch a video and you're like, could I make something like that? And a lot of people just take the idea and then just replicate it in their own version. And that, sure enough, that goes viral as well too. So it's about coming up with ideas, finding ideas. I mean, you can get ideas in the craziest places as well too. The library. The library is full of information itself. And a lot of stuff that's in the library is just not on the internet itself. It's in a book or so forth. So if you get a piece of information from like a book or so forth, you can talk about that and be like, hey, blah, 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 blah. You're adding value because they're not seeing that on the internet. You just basically put it online essentially. So ideas are everywhere. You just have to kind of execute on them. So that's kind of like important itself. I was going to talk about a little bit more about like the website stuff as well too. So might as well talk about that from general marketing wise. Typically, most people, what they'll do is they will be running a WordPress website. These days, those are pretty easy to throw up. You typically need a hosting. A hosting is kind of like a computer where your files sit on, and then you need a domain name. And then typically I would either go with like WP Engine. That's a really good, nice hosting. It daily backs up, so that way, in case something goes wrong, you can just roll back to yesterday. So that way, you can't mess up the website because you can just always roll back to yesterday itself. So if you're keeping an eye on it, a lot of people will use it to sell stuff. Obviously, like they were talking about trying to sell a song. Like, well, you definitely need some kind of service to go ahead and do that. It could be your own personal website where you're putting a paywall for a song or something. Or a lot of people are typically selling courses and things like that. So it's kind of like you need a platform, and WordPress is usually the best way. I typically, once I install WordPress, I'm usually then installing Elementor, which is like a theme, and they have all kinds of different modifications. A lot of the internet is all ran by Elementor, so definitely you need some kind of space out there, so that way a lot of people swear by collecting emails. I talked to a lot of people where they're dead set on this email list. They think it's the most important thing, because if Facebook goes down, or like maybe Facebook wipes your account, or they wipe your Instagram account or YouTube account or whatever, well then you lost that audience. But if you have a website where you're collecting like emails, then you always have access to those people, and you can sell them stuff and promote to them and so forth. If you think something, you wouldn't want to be blasting emails every time you post a video or so forth, but if you're doing like a big event or something like that, that's where the email list is very important. So if you don't have an email list, you got to get on it. You can start up like a MailChimp account. That'll give you 1,000 emails that you can throw in there, and it's gonna take a while to get 1,000 emails. A lot of times I've heard this, you only need 1,000 dedicated people. Think about that. Like if you have 1,000 dedicated people that are like willing, they'll do anything for you or so forth, they'll spend 20, 50 bucks, whatever you're kind of doing, then that's all you really need. Is you only need an audience of like 1,000 dedicated people itself that are willing to buy whatever you're selling or so forth. So if you think about it, 1,000 is not that much, like getting 1,000 people. So your real goal is, I need 1,000 dedicated people that I can shoot emails, that I know they're on my group itself and they'll do whatever essentially. So think about getting an email list, starting an email list. And typically the only way people are giving you your email to them is you have to be providing some kind of value. So they'll typically give a free product in exchange for an email itself. So you got to think about, what am I going to give out that I can collect emails with? So bigger the email list, the better, because once you actually have something that's like, oh, this is like, I'm promoting this, or like I'm putting on an event or whatever, then you have all these dedicated people that you can email and say, hey, come check this out, and then you hopefully have a huge crowd of coming to whatever you're kind of doing or so forth. So that's basically a little bit about the website stuff. Is WordPress, WP Engine for hosting. If you're like, oh, well, WP Engine is too expensive, there's a cheaper alternative called Hostinger. I like that one as well too. You can do hundreds of websites on there itself. Pretty easy to set up and kind of get rolling itself. You do have to have some knowledge of how to use WordPress and so forth. So it takes a while to kind of get used to it. We were talking about, you missed this, Rob, earlier. We were doing, there were I was telling him about how AI can help them with songs as well too, and they threw out some prompts for songs, and sure enough, we came out with some songs. So website's called Suno, SUNO.com, and we're throwing out like different prompts like for me, and then I was like, well, let's see what AI can do. I'm gonna show you, check this out, okay? This is what, when you guys were out and you were looking for your phone, we made some hit songs. Check this out, okay? All right, here we go. First one. So it's like a beat. Isn't that cool?
And it's all 100% AI.
All AI, all AI, with just a few text prompts. Isn't that cool?
I can't really hear the lyrics. I'm trying to hear them a little bit. Hold on.
So the prompt was here, a gritty old school 90s boom bop. I don't know what that means, but
You're funny.
But that's basically what they told me, and I typed it in, and then boom. This might help you with maybe get some beats, maybe get you some ideas.
What were the word prompts for the song itself, like the lyrics?
Something about socks, and Twin Falls, and some kind of soup or something like that. That's what he just threw at me. And stuff. I was like, sure, let's give it a go, you know. So that was like one, and then let's see one other one here. It was kind of cool. See, I don't know what this was, but this was another. Beat of some sort. I don't know. It was a 95 BPM, energetic vibe, slapping bass. Something, I don't know. They liked the beat on this one, so you can just take the beat, extract it in Adobe Premiere, and sell off the beat if you want. Who knows, you know? So AI again is your helper, inspiration, idea generator, your assistant. I call it. It's like everybody has access to this. It's so crazy. It's like this AI puts everybody. At first, I thought the internet put everybody at the same playing field, but no. Really, it's actually AI that puts the whole world at the same line. I call it, and I have access to it. You have access to it. Everybody has access to it. It just makes everybody more productive, creative, and it's like the best assistant you could possibly ever have. Is what I tell people. So again, use it.
Bro, I think that little last 30 seconds, just making a note in this, clip that's your viral clip right there.
Like he's got so many viral clips. Yeah, you could probably
at least the one that I just witnessed, out of everything I witnessed, the last piece of what you shared, I think was a potentially viral clip, so I know I don't want to get lost in there. But I don't know how it's framed
clip
or
away.
how it looks.
Yeah, now you know what's also interesting is like on a video something like this, you have several options. You can bring it into Adobe Premiere, and then you can kind of like find the viral moments that you believe there are. But there's also a website where if you upload the whole entire video, let's say it's about an hour or so forth, it'll find what it believes to be the most viral moments as well in there. I forgot what the name of this particular one.
Starts with an O.
Opus Clip. There it is. It's Opus Clip. Opus Clip will do a pretty good job. If you're ever using Opus Clip, how I typically like to use it is I like to have it identify where the viral moments are. I cut it out myself, and then I add my own B-roll footage on top of it, because I just don't trust it doing a good job of everything itself. But Opus Clip might be able to help you with something like that as well too. It'll just find the most viral thing in there, and then it'll just, you just hope it just goes viral basically, because it's like, when I used to do podcasts, that's what I would just basically be doing the podcast for. Is you're doing the podcast to get the viral clips. So a good example was when I did about Sean Wilsey. He's a local geologist, and he when you're finding guests for your podcast, you want to find somebody who's full of information, like information that they've acquired, they're the specialist or so forth, they're an interesting person, and so forth. So really, it's kind of like, okay, you find that person, you sit with them and you talk to them as much as you can to try to get them to say something viral or something informative or so forth. Then usually if you ever talk to somebody like about Joe Rogan, they'll say, I've seen a lot of Joe Rogan clips, but I've never actually watched the whole Joe Rogan episode. So that's what people are typically watching, is they're watching the clips. They're not watching the whole entire thing. The only time they're really watching the whole entire thing is if they're on like a long road trip and they want to hear something past the time or so forth, and they want to hear the whole entire story itself. Sometimes the clips gets people interested in seeing the whole video itself, because it's like, well, that was very informative, I want to watch the whole entire thing. And then they'll seek to find the video itself. So the clips help the podcast, and growing the audience, you do that by doing a lot of clips, basically. So I would definitely suggest everybody also do a podcast if they can, because it gives you an opportunity to get clips, because that's where most people are now, attention is at the clips. Otherwise, you're going to be having to narrate these stories, figure out stories. But here, if you do a podcast, you're just hoping magic happens there. So you never know who's going to be like your viral clip itself, because they might say something, you know. Yeah, see, you can clip the shit out of this. Just your goal from this video is, how many clips can I get? And again, when you do these clips, you always have to put the transcript as well too. Now, let's say, for example, like you're like, I don't want to pay for Adobe Premiere, right? CapCut is free. You can download it on your desktop computer, and it will do the transcripts, it'll do all the effects and so forth. Free. It's a free software. So it's like, somebody says, oh, I don't know how to edit or so forth. It's so simple. All you're really doing is you're just cutting. You're cutting the most important things in, and then that's it. And you're having it transcribed. And that's it, basically. There's really not that much to it. You're going to add all these cool little sound effects and this and that. That helps a little bit. But really, the story, it's like, if you have something good that you can condense where people get value, that's a clip. So it's all about the value. Let's see, what else do I got? So I've kind of talked about all kinds of different things. We got AI, you're loading it up with somebody that already has a formula, but you know, it's your best friend. Have you guys had anything go viral? Have you had anything go viral?
Not super viral. I mean, the only personal video I had go viral was like maybe 400,000 views.
400,000.
And then other videos.
What was the video? I guess kind of tell me what the video
I can
was.
show it to you.
Yeah, what? Let's kind of examine it and see why it went viral.
I mean, yeah, I have some ideas of
There's a lot of channels I kind of like, and then they're kind of typically explaining why something has gone viral. And they break it down basically, and you can try to replicate that formula as well too. Now, so that's all about viral. But now, if you want to do some search engine optimization stuff, if you're more interested in getting your website to show up on Google under a certain keyword, that's search engine optimization itself. Now, a person that I would recommend all you guys check out would be Hey Tony. He's a really good guy. He makes all these free informative videos on how to do good search engine optimization. This guy is like so crazy to me. Is like, he's just giving it all these secrets. But people like his content because he's not afraid to share the secrets. So you have to put yourself in a mindset, there is no secret, just let them out, basically, you know? And that's why people will follow you, is if you're just letting out the information and you're there providing value. So I follow him because he provides value, essentially. So think about that when you're creating content, is how is this video providing value? I've made so many videos where I've made the video and then I ask myself this question: does this video provide any value to anybody that I'm about to push it to? And if it doesn't, sometimes I'll just throw it away. It's like I might put in like an hour or two work into it, but if I'm like, nah, gone, deleted. But again, sometimes with social media, you have to find the balance because not every video that you're doing is all about, like providing value. Sometimes maybe you're just recording to have memories itself. So, you have to find the balance of like, who am I shooting this? Am I shooting this for myself or am I shooting this for an audience itself? So typically if you're just shooting for yourself, those are typically not going to go viral or anything like that, but if you're trying to like tailor to the audience, then those are more likely to go ahead and go viral and whatnot, So that's where kind of the social media aspect gets a little bit murky, because it's like, why are we doing this? Am I just like here to entertain you or so forth? But everybody's goal in social media is to be fully independent funding. And it's amazing when you can just have an idea and then execute. I sometimes tell myself, the reason I'm pushing out so many videos or so forth is because I have this idea in my head and I need to go ahead and push it out to the audience or just get it out of my head. It's kind of like when a painter has an idea of painting something, they just want to paint it. And then that's their way of kind of like expressing their selves or an idea or so forth. So really, if you think about it, like the social media part of it is, it's your ideas in a collection itself right there, basically. So people are following you or they're interested in you is because you're providing value to them, because they either like your ideas or you're giving them information and things like that, basically. So that's how you build an audience, is they have to like what you're doing and so forth, So, and there's always an audience for anything. So it could be anything. So no matter what your niche is, you can start up with that. So if you like, collecting something very random, there's probably other people like collecting random stuff too, So it's really all about the consistency as well too, because you don't want to fall off. You can't be posting like once a week or stuff like that. It has to be continuous, You're running out of storage?
Almost.
Almost. I'll wrap it up here then for you. So no, you got to be posting way more often than that. So consistency is key. A lot of people will try to plan it out. I don't like to plan it out because the algorithm almost kind of knows when you're planning things out and you're ahead of it, or if you're using some kind of platform that schedules things out, it almost kind of penalizes you. So it's like when you create it, try to stick in that time frame, 6:30, 7 o'clock around post, 12, or 5 o'clock itself. So you have to be consistent. If you're not consistent, you'll just drop off the radar, and then the algorithm will no longer favor you or so forth. It's almost, you start building up a momentum, but if you stop posting, then your views just drop if you stop doing what you're doing. And again, if you got anything out of this, you should be telling stories daily, and whatever inspires you, tell a story. And again, they're so short that anybody can do it. So that's all I got. Hey.
Right now, I am looking for sponsors for the show. As of now, I have 2 for this season, but I'd like to add more. The first one is going to be Aurora Customs. She does some of my apparel for my shirts. She's done some keychains and some stickers for me. You guys can reach her on Facebook, Instagram. Her name's Becky. Also, I have J&J Construction LLC. He does general construction, roofing, remodeling, and brand new additions to your house, concrete slabs like sidewalks and stuff like that. So if you guys want to reach out to those two.
Heavy-handed with the style, you see the sauce I'm dripping. 4 4s on 4 rolls, bro, we stay tipping. 3 5 to the face.